Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is my full review of the Sbode M400 Bluetooth speaker. Now, y'all know how the story goes, or maybe you're new to the channel, but typically what I do is I shoot my unboxing and I start my review period, and once I feel like I got a handle on everything I want to cover for you guys, then it's full review time. So without further ado, let's jump into this full review. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals when we talk about the Sbode M400 Bluetooth speaker here is the overall build quality and design. Now, from a build quality standpoint, I think Sbode did a great job. There's no rattling or creaking of any kind, and all the buttons have a nice clicky feedback to them and a nice response. So I don't know how well the mic's going to be able to hear it, but everything is nice and clicky. And you definitely know what you're pushing. So it's real nice there. Really nice. And also, as I said, there's no rattling or creaking, but aside from that, the Bluetooth speaker itself has a really nice weight in the hand and it's very solid. So whether you're throwing it into a pocket, if you wear them baggy jeans and you want to tug this guy around in your baggy jeans, or if you're throwing it into a backpack or a purse, you're definitely not going to forget that it's in there because it has a really nice weight to it. So in terms of the overall build quality, this Bluetooth speaker is really good. Now, in terms of the overall design, I'd have to say again, Sbode did a great job there. I like the materials that they use. It feels very solid in the hands, and it has a nice texture when you're holding the speaker as well. Really nice, and you can see minimal branding on the bottom and minimal branding on the top. So really good stuff there, and I needed to clean it before I started this video, but it is what it is. And they've also included a nice carrying strap, so you can hang the speaker on things, or you can put it around your wrist and just have it. That's really nice. So good stuff there. And in terms of the overall design, again, I feel as though they did a great job. Great job indeed. So, in terms of the overall build quality and design together, I'd have to say Sbode again did a really good job, and it's really solid across the board. Now, let's get into the core features of this Bluetooth speaker. Core feature-wise, this guy has probably number one, and the most important to me, it has Bluetooth connectivity in it. Words got mixed up. It has Bluetooth connectivity in it. In particular, this guy has Bluetooth 4.0, I want to say. Not entirely sure. I don't remember exactly. But I believe it's 4.0. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Other than that, this guy features a built-in mic, so you can make and receive phone calls. More on that in a little bit, and interact with your device using voice commands. Okay, and you also have the addition of a MicroSD card slot underneath this little flap here. And I don't know why I keep cutting my fingernails, because I need them to demo this stuff. But underneath this little flap, you have your MicroSD card slot, and it works no problem. You have your aux-in jack for your 3.5mm aux cable, and you have your micro USB charging port. Alright? Other than that, this speaker also supports a dual pairing functionality to it. So if I had two of these, I can pair them up for true stereo sound. Okay? So that pretty much goes over all of the features, and this guy also packs in a 2200 milliamp hour battery, which means you're going to get some quite solid battery life on this, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so that pretty much goes over all of the core features of this Bluetooth speaker here, and let's keep it moving. Up next now, I just want to go ahead and talk about the overall sound quality, volume, and the bass. Okay, in terms of sound quality, I found that this speaker is really good. Whether you're listening to music at really low volumes or really high volumes, it's really good, and it stays very sharp, crisp, and clear throughout. And you will be able to recognize the difference when you're playing it at a lower volume as opposed to a higher one. So the overall sound quality on this guy is really good. And in terms of the overall volume, this speaker gets really loud. Okay? So loud, in fact, I did this whole review with the speaker set to 50% volume. I never really felt the need to put the volume higher than 50%, but there are some caveats to that I want to point out now. Now, I noticed that with this particular speaker, not all devices had the same volume to them. So, for instance, if I was connecting this guy up to my Stylo 3, 50% on my Stylo 3 sounds a lot different than 50% on my Essential phone here, which y'all can see in the video, which also sounds a lot different from 50% on my Moto X Pure Edition, which is right here. So I guess this is where I can say not all Bluetooth technology is created equally, because this guy has Bluetooth 4.1 in it. This guy has Bluetooth 5.0, and the LG Stylo 3 has Bluetooth 4.2, and that's the device that I'm using to record this video. So y'all know the deal. Please let me know how the video looks, and please let me know how the audio sounds. Okay, so that's what I have to say. Not all devices sound the same at the exact volume. And also, what I want to say is, y'all already know how I do this, but typically what I do when I'm using Bluetooth speakers is I physically max out the volume and digitally control the volume with the speaker with my smart device, whether it be my PC, whether it be my tablet, or any of my smartphones. That's how I control the volume with my Bluetooth speakers. And I always recommend doing that so you get the maximum sound and the maximum volume out of your speakers. But that being said, getting back on task, the overall volume of this Bluetooth speaker is really good. Now, talking about the overall bass, this guy got some bass in it like you wouldn't believe. The bass on this speaker is really good. Okay, so I had no issues with the sound quality. This guy gets really loud, and the bass on the speaker is really good. So overall, really good stuff when we talk about the sound quality, the volume, and the bass. Really good stuff. Next now, I just want to take some time to talk about the mic in this guy. And this is where I was a little bit disappointed. Now, for voice commands and interacting with my devices using my voice, I didn't really have an issue. So dictating text, using my Google commands, so on and so forth, regardless of what device I was using, it didn't have an issue. Where I did have a big issue, however, is with the mic using phone calls or taking and receiving phone calls. I found that a lot of callers said that I sounded far away, and they said I sound different as opposed to using the built-in receiver on my devices. So in that regard, I'd have to say that the mic quality on the speaker is not so good, at least when it comes to making and receiving phone calls. But dictating text and interacting with your devices using voice commands, for that aspect of the microphone, it worked no problem. Wow, I'm having trouble framing sentences today. We all over the place today. So in terms of the overall mic quality, again, dictating text and voice commands, solid. Overall, taking and receiving phone calls, not so much. They got to work on that. So that does it for the mics. Next now, I just want to go over the steps to pair. And this time, we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to try and do this without touching the device at all. So, and these steps to pair pretty much work regardless of whatever device you have. As long as your device supports Bluetooth, it should work. So these same steps should work on things like your PC, your laptop, your tablet, or any of your smartphones. It looks a little bit differently across the platforms, but the steps are the same. So up next now, we're going to go over the steps to pair. And the first thing you want to do is power on the speaker and put it into pairing mode. And you'll hear some nice little voice prompts when you power on the speaker. Okay, so let me do this for you guys.
Power on. Bluetooth mode.
Okay. And that's how you know that it's in Bluetooth mode. Alright. Alright, and now she's looking to connect to devices that I connected already. Alright. Now, also, that flashing means she's ready to pair as well. But also, if you wanted to switch between your different things, you could do that with the power button as well. So this guy also has a built-in FM radio, and like I said, you got your aux jack, so you can wirelessly connect your devices. Now, downside is that for the aux jack to work, the speaker itself does have to have power, but the ways in which you switch between the modes are pretty simple. You just tap the power button. So here you go.
FM radio mode. Aux in mode.
Now you're on the aux cable.
Bluetooth mode.
Back to Bluetooth. Okay? And if you had a microSD card in, you switch to it using that as well. But since there is not one in at this time, you can see it didn't go to it. But that's pretty much how you switch between the modes. Now we're back on Bluetooth, and let's do this. So now with your Bluetooth speaker on and in pairing mode, the next thing you want to do is take your device, turn on Bluetooth, and make your device visible. So let's do this. Okay, Google, turn on Bluetooth.
Turning on Bluetooth.
Okay, and you can see the Bluetooth is on. Okay, Google, open Bluetooth settings.
Opening Bluetooth settings.
Alright, and now we're in the settings. And you can see the Bluetooth is on. And I believe we have to... Now, what you would do at this point is it would scan and look for it. But I disconnected it for this video, so you can see it's not showing up right now. But what you would have to do is just push your hamburger menu and hit refresh. Okay, so now it's scanning again, and you can see that's what you're looking for right there, Sbode M400. So you tap that, it's going to start the pairing process, and you'll get a nice little audible tone letting you know when the device is paired. So let me hit this. And you can see we're going through the pair process now. And it says, do you want to pair? Let me hit paired.
Device paired.
And there you go. Nice little audible tone letting you know that the device is paired. And now this guy is also set up to make and receive phone calls as well. But what I found is that this mic doesn't work so hot when you have everything set up. And also what I realized is that when I try to put this guy at max volume physically and then control it digitally, because it's using the mic and the other things simultaneously, it kind of snaps back to where I physically set it. So one way to get around that is I go into the Bluetooth settings here and I set this guy as a media only device. So let me just do that real quickly. So you tap on the settings gear here, and you can see out of the box it's set up to make phone calls and use as a media device. Now to get better performance out of the speaker, I found that you want to uncheck the phone calls box and just use it as a media device. Now this won't hinder you from dictating text or using your Google commands. because it will still do that using the mics from the device you have it connected to, so it will only work as a media source. Okay, so what you want to do now is uncheck the phone audio option. All right, and then you're going to get this window letting you know that it will not have the phone audio profiles available. You just want to click OK. And now you're good to go, and you guys can see it's only set to phone media there. All right, and for me at least, that's how I found that I was getting the best performance results. And now I can physically max out the speaker and control the volume digitally. So all you gotta do is press and hold. Okay. Okay, so you can see physically it's maxed out, and now I can control it digitally. And also what you want to keep in mind is that these the volume up and down buttons have multiple functions. So you have skip, next track, so on and so forth. So a long press for volume up and down, and a tap or a short press for skip, next track, and so on and so forth. Play, pause, so on and so forth. All right, and this would be the button that you use if you wanted to pair up two of these speakers together, but we don't have two at this time. So now let me pull up some music here, give y'all a little sound demo, and then we're gonna keep it moving. And I'm gonna set the volume. Let me skip this.
Be ready.
Here. All right, and then we're gonna set the volume to 50%, and I'm gonna come back and show it to you guys, let you guys hear it at 100% as well. So here we go. Okay, Google, set volume to 50%.
Right.
Okay, boom. Now it's, for some strange reason, it's still doing that snapback, but I found that before, that once I disabled the phone audio, that it wasn't doing that, but it looks like it's still doing that for some reason. So I had to physically set it to 50%, it looks like. So let me go back to the video, and we're gonna physically set this guy to 50%. So right about where the notch meets the screen. Right about there. So let me show you guys. It's about 50% there, you can see. Bam. Okay, so now we're ready. And let me push play. We're going to play a few seconds, and then we're going to jump into 100% and play a few seconds and keep it moving. So enjoy, guys. Alright, so that's 50%, and again, I don't know how good my mics are picking it up, but it sounds really, really good. So next now, let's take it to 100 and play a little bit. Can't keep it here long, don't want to disturb the rest of the house. So you can see 100% volume, and here we go, guys. Okay, okay. I don't know how well y'all saw it, but you can actually see it moving, and you could feel the bass through my table here. And I'm not touching anything. Okay, the tripod is mounted on the table, and I literally wasn't touching anything. And y'all saw the strap fall off of the speaker, and that was from the bass. And I don't know how well you could see the little micro shaking as it was playing, but the bass on this guy is really, really good. And the overall volume and sound quality is really, really good as well. Okay? And you can really hear the difference. When you play it at lower volumes, it sounds good, but you can really hear that transition from the low to high volumes, and it sounds really good. And again, for my particular testing, I did not take this guy over 50%. So I just want to keep that in mind for you guys. And now let's keep it moving. So up next now, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys is the overall Bluetooth range and the overall Bluetooth strength. Again, I believe this guy has Bluetooth 4.0 technology in it, and the manufacturer stated that this guy should have a range of 10 meters or 33 feet, if I remember correctly, and I found that one to be spot on. And you guys know, or maybe you're new and you're just coming across this video, one of the ways that I test the range is I connect up the Bluetooth speaker to a said device, then I leave that device in my room here, and then I start walking. Now, I think from my room, which is on one side of my house, to the side door to my carport is just about 35 feet away. And I found that when I get to about that side door, it starts to disconnect. And when I step down onto my carport, it completely disconnects, which is again roughly about 35 feet away. So about at the door is about 33 feet and it's still working. But then when I step through the door, it disconnects. So that way, that's one of the ways that I test these ranges for you guys. And I can tell you guys that the manufacturer's quoted 10 meters or 33 feet is right on the money. Boom. So as long as you're within that range, you shouldn't have any issues. And the same thing goes for the strength as well. As long as you're inside the designated range with little to no interference, you shouldn't have any issues. Now, if you are in areas with a ton of interference, then you may want to consider wiring this guy up with the included aux cable here as I mess up. Oh, don't fall over. So you can use that aux jack there, or you could take it a next step further and have a micro SD card strictly for your music and load it up that way as well. And this way you can still listen to your music even though you're in areas with a ton of interference. Okay? So you got two ways to still listen to your music and use your devices, regardless of how much interference or whether you're in areas with a ton of interference. You can use the aux cable and you can use the micro SD card slot. Okay? Okay. Other than that, if you are in areas with a ton of interference, you're going to notice some performance issues. And again, as I said, one of the best ways to alleviate that is alleviate the interference itself. So in particular for me, my TV creates interference. My PC creates interference. Pretty much anything that emits a signal is going to create interference. So like microwaves, cell phones, when you have your Bluetooth on TVs, laptops, so on and so forth. But as long as you're in areas with little to no interference, you should be good to go in terms of the Bluetooth strength. So in terms of the overall Bluetooth range and strength, it's really, really good. And again, Sbode did a really good job. Next, let's go over the overall durability of the speaker here. Now, durability wise, I found this speaker is quite durable. and it's actually held up to more than its fair share of drops. I have to say that while I was reviewing this guy, maybe I dropped it like 5 times, maybe 5 to 6 times, from about a foot to 3 feet, and it still looks and functions as if brand new. Now it's a little dirty. I forgot to clean it before I push record, but that's just an overall testament to how good the durability is on this device, and I'm really, really happy with it. Okay, so in terms of the overall durability, it's really, really good, and it should hold up to more than its fair share of drops. All right, next now, I just want to go over the overall charge times and the overall battery life. Now, in particular, with the charge times, the manufacturer stated that this guy should take about 4 hours to reach a full charge. Now, I found that in my particular testing, that as long as I caught this guy when it said out of battery, because it does give you an audible tone, letting you know that it's out of battery, and you do get to see what the battery is set at by pushing the button there. You can see
aux-in mode,
what the battery is set at.
Bluetooth mode,
And you can also see that when you
power
it off and on, it'll tell you how much battery is left in it.
Power on.
So it'll tell you
mode,
the battery right when it powers up. So you can always tell how much battery is left. Now when the battery is low, you'll see that one flashing LED there, which will indicate that the battery is low. And then when it's about to die, it'll tell you out of battery, please charge. And then at which point it'll give you probably about a minute, and then it'll power itself off. Okay? So really good stuff there. But in terms of charging, again, the manufacturer said that this guy should take about 4 hours to reach a full charge. And I found that in my particular testing, as long as I caught it when it said battery low, please charge, as long as I plugged it in then I found that it took about a little over 3 hours to reach a full charge. Now, when it was completely dead, like no battery whatsoever, then it took a little bit over 4 hours to reach a full charge. So as long as you catch this guy when she says battery low, as long as you plug it in, you should be good to go. Alright, up next now, let's talk about the overall battery life, okay? Now, typically when I review Bluetooth speakers, I usually test them at either 50% or 75%. Generally, I don't tend to test them at 100% because I live with family, and you always want to keep it respectful, and try not to disturb other people in the house. So generally, I usually test at about 50% and 75%. Now, as I've been saying throughout this video, the volume on the speaker was so good that I did not feel the need to go over 50%. So my particular results are with the speaker set at 50%. And keep in mind that your guys' results may vary because we all use our devices differently. And so if you use it at a higher volume, you're most likely going to get less overall battery life. So you got to kind of find that happy medium between volume and battery life. And in particular, with my particular testing, in terms of battery life at 50% volume, I found that I was easily able to get just over 20 hours of overall battery life. And that was on days when I consumed a lot of media. So like YouTube, Pandora, Hulu, Netflix, so on and so forth. On days when I was doing a lot of text dictation and a lot of voice commands and attempting to make phone calls and failing miserably, then I would say that I was getting about 13 hours of battery life. Now, the manufacturer quotes in the user manual that this guy should get about 8 hours of battery life. And I believe that they're taking that estimate with using this guy at 100% volume, which I did not do. But I had to say that that might be right, because if I was to use it at 75% volume, you may want to drop that down a couple hours so then it would go from like 20 hours or 13 hours to something like 15 or 12. So at 100% volume, that 8 hours might be right. But again, for my particular testing, I only did this guy at 50% volume. So that pretty much goes over the overall charge times and the overall battery life. Now, let's get into the positives and negatives. Then we're going to talk about the overall price, and I'm going to wrap this video up, give you guys my final thoughts and a recommendation or two. Now, talking about the price, what am I at? Positives and negatives. Talking about the positives and negatives. Positive-wise, this guy features Bluetooth technology in it, so you can live that hashtag cableless lifestyle. Okay. 2, this guy has a built-in mic, so you can easily dictate text and interact with your devices using voice commands. 3, this guy also supports a dual pair feature, so you can pair up two speakers at one time for a true stereo experience. Okay? Again, the overall battery life on this speaker is really, really good. Keep in mind that's at 50% volume. Okay? The overall bass and volume on this guy is really, really good. That does it for the positives. And also, wow, I almost forgot. You have a built-in aux cable, so you can continue to listen to your music or use your device even in areas when you have a ton of interference. And you have a built-in MicroSD card slot, so you can, even if you don't want to connect up a device, you can easily listen to your music as long as you have a MicroSD card. Should be good to go. So